Okay, good afternoon, folks. Hope everyone is well. Tis the 25th of June. Can't believe we're nearly at the end of June already. Unbelievable. It really does seem 5 minutes since Christmas. Okay, let's see how we get on today. We have got some news coming up at 3 o'clock in around about 30 minutes. So what are we seeing at the moment? It's a tough one, really, isn't it? Are we going up or are we coming down? Trouble is, it seems to range, and we've had a bit of a breakout, so it could trigger that low and come back down, but it is working up that line. So I think going along here may be a bit risky because we could get a lower higher and it may come down. So I'm just staying out of this at the moment, and the market is due open in about 20 seconds. So Chris, how you doing, mate? Speedy, how you doing, pal? K3, how are you? Oh, this is tempting. There's a lower high. Tempting. Yeah, it did work. I'm just not a massive fan of trading right on the news. It can mess you up a little bit. But it did work nonetheless. So yeah, breakout that failed. So it's a tough day yesterday, I found. Hard to read the market was. It was just quite random. It didn't really have much in the way of patterns. There is kind of a second entry there, but after you've had a breakout of that top, quite often we have one the opposite end. So I really didn't want to. I didn't want to jump in there for a long. Let's have a look here. Anybody watch that video last night? What's his name? What's it called? Something trader. He was talking about Apex and a few other things. It had me in stitches. I gotta say, I was laughing my head off. He makes a lot of videos, actually. He calls a lot of, I think he calls a lot of traders out. Traders that are saying they're trading live and they're really trading on a sim. Yeah, it was good. It was fun. He's quite comical, isn't he? He's quite comical. It has me giggling, I got to say. It's very good. It's very good. He really puts a video together really well. So there's possibly a second entry short here, but you're going short into that. So you just don't know what's going to happen. And not only that, we got no space left really. So yeah, that's the man trading. Yeah, I am trading. What is it? I'm trading. Yeah, he's very comical, isn't he? I've not seen him before. I might have seen him, but I don't. In fact, yeah, I think I might have done actually. But yeah, I saw the Apex thing and I had a look and I thought he's very good actually. He's very good. Right, is this a triple test? Boing, boing, boing. Trapping some shorts. Well, that's very tempting. Very tempting.
Order submitted.
That's like a triple test, isn't it? Ooh, could go either way, that one. Very tempting, but it's 10 ticks, isn't it? Yeah.
Order
I
cancelled.
just don't like that. It's making me nervous. It may work, but that sideways is making me nervous. Not only that, if this is a range, we've had to break out the top one off and we do the same, so it may come down, but bounce, bounce, bounce. It is a triple test, so it's a tough one. Still staying out of it. Sometimes it'll do that, come up a bit, tease you in, and then drop. It's a bit risky. I think it would probably work. I would have a go at it on an evaluation, but I'm staying out of it at the moment because there's going to be some stops there, and if it gets up that high, it'll be some stops there, and it is kind of a triple test, but it is just that little bit risky. And there's a failure there as well.
Order filled.
I'm going to have a go at this because there's a lower high there, and if it gets below there and there, there's going to be a bunch of stops there, so I think that's worthwhile just putting that there. If it gets below here, it'll push down, so come on. No, let's get out of
Target filled.
I get $50. It's holding at the moment, that, see, so it may not come down on that NQ, so it's a quick $50, I don't mind. Then all adds. It's probably going to work. I just don't like the way it's going a little bit sideways here, and it's doing the same really, so if you look there is a triple test, but we haven't got below here yet, and there's also a triple test that way, so it could go either blooming way, really. I kind of like trading this a little bit freely on what kind of feels right, and it did work in the end. All I wanted to do is get below there, and that would have taken, and that would have got me, so it would have worked, but I don't mind getting in for a quick 50. Who am I going to say hello to? It's quite a number of videos. He does, yeah. Hey, Philip, how you doing? Yeah, I didn't realise he called out people like Matt and who's the other guy, the ginger-haired guy? Not Nutty, the other guy, the one that has a massive amount of viewers. It'll come to me. You guys will know. You guys will know. He's another one. There's Matt and there's another one. Yeah, apparently he caught them out on trading on a sim or something and saying they're on a. So you got to behave yourself when he's around. Got to make sure I do everything by the book. Patrick Whelan, that's him. That's how I think of. Yeah, you got to make sure you do everything by the book, otherwise he'll crucify you. Yeah, so it did work. It worked fine. I got out for 50, but I could have got a couple of hundred in the end. But I don't mind. I don't mind winging it a little bit. I kind of just like sort of working, sort of trading this, how it sort of feels. Having a little bit of freedom in me trading, you know what I mean? There's going to be some shorts below there, surely. My concern, yeah, it's worked. My concern with going long here was we've had a range with a breakout, and when we get a breakout that's failed, we often get one this side as well to sort of compensate for it. So that's why I was a little bit not keen on going long, but I can understand. I mean, look at that, 1, 2, 3. Never triggered that one, but you can understand why people will be thinking about going long here. Just looking at this CL as well, we've got this channel down here with an overshoot. We've had 2 legs up, and it does look like it's working down to break these lows. That one I looked at, that kind of a lower high. It's a bit far for a lower high, and it closed above it. I was hoping we may get a failure here, but it does look like, because we've had this overshoot, a correction, and now working way down to these bottoms. So if we can get couple of legs up or something here. We may get an option to go long there. So let's see if this fails. It looks like it might be, because there's going to be stops there. Or is it going to continue down? It may continue down at this rate. I wouldn't want to go short here, because this side failed and that side fell. Keep it in mind, folks, we've got this news coming up in 20 minutes. Yeah, some of the stuff that goes on in the Discord, that the Apex Discord, it's unsettling, isn't it? You know, people putting a couple of sad or frustrated emojis getting temporarily banned. Yeah, it's not. It doesn't do many favors, I don't think. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Apex. I use them. But I think sometimes they might have just I think they'd have been better going about it when they started implementing the rule, giving people a little bit of notice, just saying, okay, for the 1st of June or whatever, we're going to start implementing the rules. And it might not have got out of hand, because there was a few YouTubers that sort of crucified him a little bit, and it probably did them more on than good. But I hope they sort of continue on the fatal Apex. I can't see how they do any sort of long-term damage, but you just never know, do you? I hope not, because I've got 20 accounts of them. Okay, what is going on here? It's a bit choppy, this, isn't it? Really quick drop there. Are we pushing up to the tops? Could do with a little second entry here. Trouble is, at the moment, this price at the moment is quite a bit from this EMA on the NQ. There's always a possibility of something like that. Leg sideways up to the top. We seem to be finding some support here, so there's always a possibility we could come down for another leg into the bigger picture. So it's a bit hard to know what to do here. I don't want to get into a long there. Or are we just testing this bottom before we push up a bit? It's a bit hard. Not sure what to do here. Possibly a hidden second entry long on the CL here. I would have said we're likely to come down to break these lows, but you could almost draw that into a channel as well. So what I'll probably do is wait for the lower high if we get one. So you could say it's kind of a channel. So I'm just going to sit tight here, I think. It's just hard to know what to do here. Just looking on that NQ, we've got a channel up there with a possible second entry long, but there's also a lower high. If you're thinking we're hitting tops here, it could act like a lower high. It has triggered that bearish bar, but we're just too far up now. No, I'm just going to stay out of that, I think. It's too large, that. It's tempted by that, but we ain't got much room to the highs. Not sure about that. There is a failure there, see, so we're not trapping anything, so I can't see how this would be worthwhile to take. Okay, see if we can get a lower high here. I just don't want to take that one because you could say that is in a channel, so it may trigger. And this tends to work a bit better, though. It tends to be a lot more obvious and a lot more trustworthy. That for me would be a risky trade on the ES, but on the it may work okay. But I'm going to wait for the lower high because you could draw that in a channel. Oh, sorry. Not only that, we got the news approaching quickly, so yeah, it kind of fits in a channel at the moment, so I'm just going to sit tight there. Just doesn't look in a rush to come down to me. 2 legs up. Could make a couple of attempts before it comes down, and it may just stop that out or get close to it. This is just stacked up. God knows what it's going to do, in all fairness. It could go up, it could go down. Another day of or chop. It may just be because of the news. The news is up in 10 minutes, so it may just be going a bit sideways because of the news. Yeah, so it was a sensible choice to stay out of that. It may still hold, but that is not what you want to see on the CL when you take a trade. Triggers you and starts working back. I mean, it's a few ticks off knocking you out there, so that's what I mean. We kind of got a channel with a break. Kind of looked like a hidden second entry, but it just didn't quite break up enough for me. Now let's see if this comes down and traps this long. That would interest me. But we have got this news coming up in about just over 10 minutes. Well, just under 10 minutes, so let's see if that gets stopped out or see if it holds. Yeah. Easy pickings, that is. Easy pickings for to take out stops. So, just looking at this quickly, it looks like it's a channel. It's working nice. If I take that bottom up, it's working lovely along the bottom. So we've got a touch here, a touch here. It kind of looks right, and it's working in that bottom tier. So there's definitely an overshoot there, which has created a correction, a strong push up. Then we got a little bit slight, and then we start to loop down and fall into this. So I'd still like to break the lows of this, but market might have other ideas. But this, to me, just the way it's corrected and then pushed down strongly, looks like it's making an attempt to break these lows. See, so we've got a channel here with a break, new high, lower high. We've come off these tops, but at the moment it's just too close to that news. The ES at the moment is really stacking up. That tells me it's likely to be because of that news, which is in 8.5 minutes. And in fact, on that note, I'm just going to nip off for a few minutes, make a quick coffee. I won't be trading at the moment anyway because of this news. So this will be coming up in a minute. So blue collar, yeah, it was. Yeah, it had me in stitches, I got to say. Yeah, it was. I thought it was really funny. I couldn't help but laugh. I'm not technically against anyone. I'm playing politics pretty well. I know. There's been a few sort of falling out among some of the streamers, aren't they? You know, with Nutty and Kellyanne and that. But I'm tactically staying out the way. I've learnt not to get into an argument with a woman. So that's been married for years. I just sort of nod and agree. But yeah, some of the videos coming out are quite funny. But yeah, I did watch a few more of his actually. He's very good. He puts those videos together brilliantly, I've got to say. So there you go. Okay, folks, I'm just going to make a quick coffee. We've got this news coming up in just over 7 minutes. So while I'm sat here doing nothing really, I'm just going to make, I'm still down for the cause. I've never had, no, me neither. Me neither. Now, don't get me wrong. If I traded and broken some of these rules and I got stopped, I'd probably a bit cheesed off because I'd lost money. Because I think personally it would have been better to say, okay, folks, we're having this, and this. We're losing money. People are taking advantage. From the 1st of June, we are now going to start monitoring payments, and we need people to start following the rules rather than just dump it on people. So I think that would have gone down better. They'd probably had less of a backlash, but you know, it's easy in hindsight, isn't it? But yeah, I think Kellyanne's made a video with Matt and with a Nutty, and so far, fingers crossed, she's kept me out of it. They're a bit bigger fish than me anyway, so. But I'm playing the tactical game. I'm hiding away, basically keeping me gob shut. I've learned. But his videos are funny. They are really good, actually. I watched a few more of them. Okay, so news is coming up in 6 minutes, so I'm just going to quick disappear for a few minutes, make a cup of coffee, and I will be back. Okay, we are back. Get rid of that. Okay, news is approaching in about a minute and a half, so if you're looking at a trade or a unit trade, you want to get out of it. Let's have a look. So, leg down, 2 legs up, test this bottom line. This is when you don't want the news. Second entry short off here would be nice. Hey Bob, how you doing? How are you? Yeah, I got to say, he's had some views on that video. I'm sure it was about 23,000 the last I looked. Okay, we got about 30 seconds till this news comes out, so if you're in a trade now, panic. So, have we? I should have had a look at the daily. Might have a look at the daily, actually. Find out what's happening. Okay. I'll let this work first before I start swapping stuff around. So, may have a leg and a leg. Okay, news, 10 seconds. And here we go. Bit of an anticlimax. Consumer confidence. So, nothing major. I mean, compared to that bar, it's nothing. I mean, really, if we carry on as normal, you wouldn't even really know that was the news. So nothing major, I don't think. So that's good. So leg down. Dum, dum, dum. Are we coming down some more? Facts. No. So I'm just wondering whether this is a bigger range and this is just a bit of a failed breakout. It's hard to say at the moment. What do we get rid of that completely? We maybe can actually. It's quite choppy. May have been down to the news, in all fairness. That latter part just kept going sideways, but oh, that's kind of tempting. Mine's a big ass bar in it. It's only really a fair. Let me have a look. Technically a failure. In fact, trapping some longs there, so people going long off the bottom here. So if we can get a second entry short here, I may be interested, but it's going short around that middle. So you need a second entry short here, really. This Apex controversy has me a little bit freaked out. I have not made any Apex yet. I wouldn't worry about it too much. I mean, what to put it into a sort of sort of simplify it a little bit. Apex have had these rules since day dot, I believe, and they've never really policed them. They've never really followed them. You know, they've kind of just let people sort of do what they want to a degree. And don't get me wrong, I'd say one or two of my earlier payments, I revenge traded a bit. They still paid me, so I consider myself as lucky then. But the trouble is, if they've got down written rules, the fact that they don't police them is down to them. The only downside to that is if people aren't following the rules, at some point they could decide to, to start following them, and they've done that, and obviously it's caught people out who've been, sort of trading, outside the rules for a while, and it's caused a little bit of frustration around people. I think in hindsight it would have probably gone down a little bit better if they said, okay, this is the situation. People have been trying to rip off Apex. It's costing us a lot of money. We need to start now following the rules. Traders need to follow the rules. So if they'd have given us a sort of, let's say from the beginning of June or something like that, you need to be following the rules. I think that would have gone down a little bit better. But it's caught people out and it's frustrated some people. And I see both sides of it. I see from a business point of view, and they are a business, and businesses are out there to make money. Now, obviously, you need customers as well, so you've got to keep customers happy. But they probably just didn't go about it the best way. You know, I would have said it would have been better if they said, okay, from X amount of time, we now are going to follow the rules. I think things would have gone down a little bit better. So there's I think some, you know, there's been a lot of talk about it, and I think it's probably been blown out of proportion a little bit. Now, you might not think so if you're on the receiving end and you've lost money, but, you know, I've not had a payment denied. I don't dollar cost average, so, you know, I get it if it's your strategy and it's something you've been doing and all of a sudden now you can't do it. So I understand frustration from both sides. But I won't worry about it. I think it'll blow over. You know, Apex are big enough. I think it'll blow over. And also it is a bit, you know, people are frustrated about these problems with the Rhythmic, and I absolutely get it. I think Apex are probably fed up with them as well, because obviously they got to spend so much more time and staff and money trying to put things right. Now, in my opinion, I think they need to, because there'd be absolutely no point in saying, okay, we're selling you an evaluation, but the software might not work and you might lose everything. Now, you're not going to bother trading, are you? So if you specify that as part of my package deal that you purchase from me, you have to use this bit of software, it has to work, otherwise it's completely counterproductive to bother doing it, because if every time you blew an account because the software went wrong, you'd stop trading, or you'd trade your own money, and the prop firms wouldn't exist. So, you know, I think if you specify you've got to use a piece of software and it goes wrong, I think you've got to suck it up and put it right. Otherwise, if you start not doing it, which I think they pretty much are for the most, but I think they're just as pissed off with it, to be honest with you, because, you know, when things go wrong, they've got to go out their way and all this. But I wouldn't worry about it. It'll blow over. You know, most businesses have their little hiccups and teething problems from time to time, and things usually blow over. So I won't worry. Just keep learning, keep getting better. You'll get there. It has, yeah, the Rhythmics. In fact, I was chatting to, who was it? Another trader, another YouTuber. What was his name? Mythological Man, something like that. And he said he'd had a couple of his 25k PAs blown. He said he's going to open up a ticket, but if they don't do anything, it is what it is. Well, I messaged him and said, mate, you can't have that attitude. You've got to say, if you've lost your PAs from no fault of your own, you've got to fight for them. Because what will be the point in getting 20 accounts? If I trade 20 accounts in a go now, something goes wrong with Rhythmic, I lose everything. I can't just go, well, it is what it is, because there'll be absolutely no point in getting them and starting again. Because what's the point in spending all that time and money and building up an account if something goes wrong with the software and you lose everything? It's pointless. So I said, you know, you need to fight for it. And he agreed, so he's going to keep on top of them. But you have to. You can't just roll over and walk away. Otherwise, you might as well give up. But it is a bit of a pain. I've got to say, fingers crossed, I think I've only had one problem that's cost me an account. Fortunately, it was an evaluation and they reset it. But whether I've been lucky or what, I don't know. But, you know, as soon as I hear rumours that there's something wrong with it, I tend to get very cautious anyway and maybe stop for the day. We had a few days, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago, where it was just one problem after another. And I think a lot of it, so I believe, was to do with they had the 90% off, and I think people were picking up these 250k ones and trading them on the news to try and get the 15 grand on the news. And I think that amount of volume going through Rhythmic at that time just caused problems. So now they've gone down to the 80%. I think it's a better option. I think they're going to get less problems. You know, you've still got the offers. They still give you the good deals on the bigger accounts, but just that little bit less discount seems to have settled things down. It's like anything. If evaluations are $100, you may buy one. If they're $50, you'll buy two. If they're $25, you'll buy four. So I think people tend to kind of spend the same money, but when you've got that much volume going through Rhythmic, it does seem to cause problems, and it is a bit of a pain in the arse. You know, trading's worrying and stressful enough as it is without worrying about losing your accounts through some sort of software problem. So, this is... Oh, that can go now, can't it? News is done and dusted. I don't know what's going on here at the moment. NQ, is that any clearer? Maybe. Let's have a look. Best to stay out the news. Yeah, absolutely. I traded the news a little bit on evaluations, but I've had 20 accounts now for nearly a month. So it hasn't. I haven't paid anything extra, anything else, which is really refreshing to not have to pay money, because I was probably paying on PAs and evaluations $300-400 a month, I think. But it's kind of nice not to have to pay anything for once. So, are we going to get a second entry long here and push up to the tops? It's a bit hard to say here, isn't it? 'Cause it's very choppy. You may get a second entry long. It might go up a bit and continue to go sideways. $4,000 tick chart has a pretty clean uptrend. Yeah, the NQ is actually looking... I mean, look at the NQ compared to this. I mean, so much of the time they almost look identical, but this tends to go sideways. This second lot of data or bars, and the second lot of bars on the NQ is pushing up. So, which tells me this may continue. So I was looking for a second entry long here, but we haven't had it, unfortunately, as of yet. And we're nearly breaking these highs. We're getting too close to the top now, so it's a bit unfortunate. There is a kind of a higher low on the NQ, but it's quite close to this top. I expect that bearish bar probably going to get stopped out. And it's quite a small bar actually, but I prefer it just a little bit lower. So leg down, one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. The 50, 30, 50. The rhythmic apex issues are not real. Yeah, I think there's some truth in that, mate. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, if we do get issues, you know, granted, but if people have blown accounts for their own fault, there are probably a lot of people going to jump on the bandwagon and go, "Oh, my account wasn't my fault." So yeah, definitely, there's going to be an element of that. No two ways about it. So it probably doesn't help matters. I mean, in every walk of life, it doesn't matter what business you have or company you've got, you are always going to get people that try and take advantage. You know, you've only got to walk in your local supermarket and stores to see that. You know, everything's tagged. You've got security guards everywhere. There's always people are going to try and take money out of your pocket in any walk of life. And they're obviously feeling it and finding out. So, you know, they seem to have made a sort of a stand. People with bad internet connections blame Apex. Yeah. Yeah, I think people forget sometimes that you need a reasonably up-to-date computer to cope with all these bits of software that we're using, and obviously a suitable internet connection as well. I mean, I'm lucky where I am. I have a gigabyte, so my upload and download speed are around about the late 900s, so plenty for me. And also as well, if you are new, stay away from Wi-Fi. It's problematic. It's all right on your phone if you want to look at Facebook, but if you're trading, hardwire it. It's the first thing I did. I bought some decent cable and some decent connectors, learned how to do it and hardwired it myself. So you got to do what you can do to make things as safe as you can. And like I've said before, what you can see on my chart, this up here, top right hand corner, and obviously the P&L underneath it and the orders, positions and orders. I have all this on here so I can keep an eye on what orders are up, because on the rare occasion there may not be an order in, it may have cancelled in NinjaTrader, but it's up there in Rhythmic. So you need all these little bits open just to help protect yourself. And I've said before as well, download yourself a free copy of OBS and record your screen for the day. It's free of charge, doesn't cost you anything. And I know when you're recording data, it takes up a bit of space, but if everything runs smoothly for the day, you just delete it at the end of the day. But at least if something goes wrong, you can look at yourself and you've got something to show Apex to say, look, you can clearly see everything's working fine. I haven't done anything. So you've got to protect yourself. And you'll have less problems, I assure you. But yeah, make sure your computer is clean. Make sure it's not all clogged up. If you have got an older PC as well, think about upgrading it if you can. You don't need to spend a fortune. You just need to get something relatively quick. Clean as well, less crap on it as well, all helps. Let's have a look. I would disagree. I have 3 gigabytes fibre optic connection. A gaming PC. So 3D. Start. Yeah, Brant's not saying you're not going to get issues, but things like slow internet can cause problems. Slow internet can make things like lag more of a problem. Yeah, he's not saying it. If you haven't got good internet, you can have problems. All these little things help. I believe rhythmic servers. Yeah, absolutely. For me, that's what it is. But all these little things, a quick computer, suitable, reliable internet, they all help for sure. They do, but it's not the be all and end all. But like I say, record it. Download OBS, it's free. Record your screen that way. If there's any issues, you've got it in black and white colour, and you've got some proof. Because Apex is dealing with a lot of people, and you need to fight for these things. If something's gone wrong, you've got to fight for it. You can't roll over and go, oh, well, it's part of it. No, it's not. You can't expect software to go wrong regularly and to lose all your money in your accounts. That's not the way trading works. If that was the case, people wouldn't bother trading. Someone told me a few months ago they've been trading their own account on NinjaTrader for 3 years and never had one problem. That's how trading should be. But the trouble is when you're using these sort of third-party things, and especially with its simulated data, they're problematic. So I think Apex have sort of been quite a lot more successful over the last 6 months. They've got a lot more customers. They're pricing, keeping everything very cheap. They're encouraging a lot more traders to come their way. And when you're not 90% off and you give these 250 accounts, we got to make 15 grand. Lots of people trading, a lot of weight on rhythmic, and problems are starting to, the cracks are appearing. But hopefully they're trying to put things in place to keep things running smoothly, because they don't want the hassles. They don't have to pay more staff to spend hours and hours going through stuff and refunding people's accounts and all this. We all want things to run smoothly and a nice, easy life. It's hard to trade this stuff. I'm going to put that like that. We've had a small breakout there and a small breakout here. So I'm just going to keep that there, I think. I mean, Daryl Martin did do a video maybe a year or so ago about computers, which was really interesting. There's a piece of software that you can download. Someone will mention it, and what it does is it looks at your system and it gives it a rating compared to everybody else who's put their system in there, and it categorizes it into like a nuclear sub, UFO, battleship, and the higher you are on the rating, the more proficient your PC is to cope with trading, and obviously the lower you are down, if you've got a raft or a rowing boat at the bottom, then things may not work as smoothly. So the CL's not really telling me much. We had this channel down here with an overshoot. Two strong pushes up, nice correction, a little bit of sideways and then down. I thought this may be the start of the push for these lows, but it still may come down. But at the moment we seem to be finding some support up there, so maybe we're having a couple of attempts. Maybe that's a leg and eventually we'll work down, but who knows. So we've got a channel on the NQ, which looks kind of nice. Touching a couple of times here, touching here, and we've got a strong break. So we may push up for a new high. In fact, there may even be a larger channel there. So that, yeah, maybe. So this looks to me like it's starting to work up to sort of catch up here with this NQ. Just wondering whether we may trap some shorts here, break below and get a little long out of it. See if this traps any shorts here. I wouldn't want to go short there right into that midline. So let's see if anybody else wants to.
Order submitted.
This is a risky trade, this is. Because we could have a leg down, one attempt higher, second attempt higher, breaking above this, and then down. Bearing in mind we're in a range. So for me, that is a little bit risky. It's 10 ticks, isn't it? Channel down, trying to go once, trying to go twice, failure, trapping the longs. It's a hard one here, but I'm staying out with this. Canceled. I think this is a little bit risky. Tempting. It may work. My slight concern is we're ranging and we've come off the top. Okay, it is working. It's just one of those things. I thought it's a tiny bit congested here. And not only that, we have a channel coming off the top. 2 attempts to go higher, trapping some longs and then down, which still may happen. Fact. There is a second entry short on that. Yeah, so straight away I got alarm bells ringing in my head. It's tough on this. I'm just looking at this NQ. There's a failure there. We are moving up the overall picture. Now I'm just staying out of this at the minute. Reason being is we got a channel with a possible 1 push up, 2 pushes up, and then come down. Now this is looking quite bullish, but this channel here is at a break and a new high, so we could be coming down. We know we're ranging at the moment. This is starting to go a bit sideways, so I think a long here is just a little bit extra risky. This is going sideways now. There'll be some longs in there and there. If you went short, you got stopped out. That short hasn't triggered. So this is just a little bit extra risky because it's hard to say. We've got a channel up here which kind of looks okay, but we've also got another channel which is at a break and a new high. So depends really how you've got that channel. I'm actually swinging towards more like that, in which case we've come off the tops, so we could make a couple of attempts to push up and then down to the bottom. So this here is risky. It's looking sideways as well, so it could upset a few people there. It really could go up or down, in all honesty. There's definitely going to be some longs in there for sure. It is a second entry long. It is a higher low, but when we've just come off those tops, it just makes it extra risky. So hence I stayed out of it. So if you went a tick above there, you wouldn't have got a point yet. You would have to push through to there. So extra risky, and now it's going even more congested. So it's just risky. It's hard to say. If you went short there, see, you've already been stopped out. So I'd say there's probably going to be some short stops up here, but I think there's going to be more longs trapped. So this may just drop. I certainly would not want to be in that trade now. It may work, but it's just irrelevant. We're going a bit sideways, so I think you're okay to the top more or less anyway. But it's not nice to sit through that, and it ain't over yet either. Possible second entry short. Yeah, I don't even want to get into a short, in all honesty. Starting to look a bit trappy now. Nothing worse than it going slow like this. Might make it, but I'll tell you now, there'll be a lot more longs in this, I think, than shorts. Yeah, see, on that CL, we have come off the top. We've got a very similar situation there. There's a failure there, which hasn't triggered yet, and there's quite likely some longs in there on this CL. But this, to me, looks like a leg down. One attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. If this pushes down below this EMA, and indeed below there, for me, I think this is likely to come down. But I think I'm just staying out of this as well because price is above that EMA. So let's see if that holds. Still glad I stayed out of it. So if you'd have got in there one tick above, you'd have had a 1.25. Risky though. Sometimes they still work. There's a lower high there. There's going to be some longs in there. Is this thing going to flush down? Very tempting.
Order submitted.
No, this could do anything really.
Order cancelled.
Does take a bit of confidence to sit through that lot. In my opinion, anyway, you want to be out here anyway. So if you'd have got out there, you'd have been okay. This may come down and just trump a lot. That's long. Stops there, probably stops there. So what's going to happen here? Tempting trade, that is. Yeah, could do anything this. I kind of like that. Looks bearish. But it really could do anything. If it gets above there, then I think it'll get above there. Yeah, okay. So that would have worked. Sometimes it just takes time. Doesn't necessarily mean it was a bad trade. It just means it was a riskier trade because we come off these highs. You just never know. Sometimes it may trap you there and that may come down. Second entry short, failure, trapping a load of longs and down to the bottom. It could do. It's just one of those things. It's making a calculated decision, but when it's choppy like this, it does make that decision harder because the more sideways it goes, technically, the more trades you blooming see. You know, second entry short there. Would you want to take that? No, because it's congested, but it worked. You know what I mean? So it's just, you see all these setups, and it's just, what do? Do you take that one there? Break, new low, second entry long. There's some support down here. Triggers you, stops you out. So you do see way more setups, don't you? Same again, sort of you may come off the tops, you may think lower high, triggers you. Pushes up, stops you out. So when it's sideways and choppy like this, it does make all these so-called setups a little bit more dangerous because we've had a channel there with a break and a new high. We know we've reversed from every time we've been up here, so you naturally think we're reversing. We have a strong push down, then all of a sudden you get those offerings. So fortunately that one didn't trigger if anyone was going short there, but and sometimes when it starts to go sideways, it can whip down and take out some stops. So it really could have gone either way there. Because we've had a bit of a breakout here, you may think it's going to go up there, but we've had one here, see, so 2 legs down. So it's just one of those things. It did work, but you've got to be prepared to sit in there and put up with all that uncomfortable feeling, but that's part of trading. Hey Nick, how you doing, mate? Message deleted. Were you slagging me off now and now you're going to be nice? But yeah, when it is choppy like this, it does make it so much more riskier, because every flipping minute you can sort of see setups, but because it's so choppy, it just tends to whip up and down and make you miserable. So I could probably move that up a bit now, I think. We're getting close to these highs. Do I leave that there or not? Not sure about that. Yeah, it's pretty hard, isn't it? We're not necessarily bouncing. We're kind of bouncing off different areas constantly. And same here, down here we bounced, and then up here and down here. Then it is making reading this chart harder. Yeah, I'm going to leave that there, actually. So we're comfortably at the top now. So we had that push up. A load of sideways, a couple of drops, and now we're at the top. We had the same push up, break new high, couple of drops, and now we're at the top. Would you rather every time you get a win, you sneeze for 12 hours? What are you saying here? Would you rather every time you get a win, you sneeze for 12 hours, or every time you take a loss, you get diarrhea for 12? I take the diarrhea, mate. No, I don't. That's a tough one. Whichever one that I don't lose, I'd rather be sneezing for 12 hours today, mate. How are you keeping, pal, anyway? Same here. I mean, if it was the other way around, I think I'd rather be sat in the toilet than sneezing. I think. I got up to 16 stone recently, so I'm just thinking weight loss straight away. Although that carnivore diet does that a bit. I've been doing that on and off. Trouble is, when you're sat on your bum all day, you tend to put a bit on. So I went up to just over 16. I did. I'm around about 15 and a half at the moment, 15 and a quarter, something like that. Are you taking many trades, Nick, or are you having the same issue as me? Just do it 1 or 2 here or there. It is hard. I mean, I can't see anything that. I mean, I looked at that one, second entry long. I looked at it, but one, we've already had a break of this channel, well, so-called channel. So it's hard, isn't it? Is this going to come down, trap some longs, and then come down the bottom? It could have done. Or it could go up. It's hard. It's hard to make decisions when it's like this. And in all fairness, you just got to zoom out and think this is just swaying backwards and forwards and chop, and you're just going to get massacred. Maybe Mac or someone like that could probably get away with trading this stuff. And if you do trade this, I think you're probably better off scalping for a point. But you know, the trouble is, I had my top down here a little bit, which kind of fit. But then it's just so hard, isn't it? We've already been up the top, so are we coming down now? A little bit of a break, trap some longs, and then down to the bottom. It's hard going at the moment. Let's have a look. See, this NQ isn't. I mean, we got like a bullish we definitely got some sort of bullish moves. We've got this sort of leg up with a break new high, got a leg down, 1, 2 legs up, one possible 2 legs down. But it's quite random, isn't it? There's no real obvious pattern to it, which makes it a lot harder to read. Yeah, exactly right, mate. Yeah. Yeah, you're right, mate. Yeah, I mean, even some of the other traders that I know are all finding it a bit odd. There's just not a lot around at the moment, is there? So, which is, are you still just trading the ES, or are you trading anything else? See, I've started looking at I've got the NQ above me, and I've got the CL. CL, I've taken 3 times as many trade on than I have the ES. So I'm kind of dividing them up. I've got 10 on the ES, 9 on the CL, and I'm just trading 1 of my accounts on the NQ, just to get a bit of a feel for it. And that seems to be wielding okay. I'm probably a few $300 or $400 above the rest of my accounts on that. But I think sometimes, you know, if you're just not taking trades, you've got to look at something, haven't you? But, you know, like I've said before, if you're going for 2 points and you can get even 3 trades a week, the bigger picture is that's over $2,000 a month. And if you're doing that with 10 or 20 accounts, it's all the money you need, really, isn't it? And if you are starting to earn that money, someone said to me once, get the trading right and the money will just follow you, I guarantee it. And I kind of think that's how it is. When you manage to sit there patiently and take 2 or 3 trades a week, you definitely take less trades, but you take less losses, so you're better off anyway. And I think when you start to make money, that's when you might incorporate some of your own funds, and you know, if you're getting $10,000, $20,000 once in a while from Apex, you can put some of that into your own account and trade that as well. So I think once you start to be successful, I think money does tend to follow you a bit. I'll let you know when it happens. but you know, these counts I've got now. Excuse me a sec, wife's on the phone. I've got to answer this, otherwise my life won't be worth living. I'll just be 2 seconds. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, leg. I got no idea. 300k, yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? That would be nice. Do you know what? I've been watching the cricket. I don't suppose you US guys know much about the cricket, although USA have actually done quite well. But England have just got through the semi-finals, but they've been playing it all around the Caribbean. So I know a guy who just flew over there for a couple of days, and he sent me a video. You know, sat in the sun watching the cricket with a beer. But if you're earning better money, you can, you know, you've got that freedom, haven't you? Just hop on a plane and away you go. I've never really done the Caribbean before. I've been to Cuba, but they've been playing around St. Lucia, Barbados. I think even had a game in New York, I think. But just sat there in the sun with a beer, watching the cricket just looks amazing. But I'm in the best place I've been in yet. I'm very relaxed when I'm trading. In fact, I think the only downside is I'm probably getting out a little bit earlier than I should. I tend to get out for a point and a quarter. But I put that down to just trading a few more accounts and just that little bit of extra sort of nerves. But, you know, in time that'll start to settle. Now, once I get these accounts up to sort of there's kind of between a couple of hundred and just over 1,000. There's quite a few around the 600 to 800. So once they're up a little bit, I can relax, then drop my order in and just let it run. But yeah, trading has been particularly hard at the moment. Just not a lot of setups. Well, look. I think yesterday what we're looking at. Oh, volume was quite low, wasn't it? And then we had some moves there. I think it may be a case I might decide to. I did think about it. I might decide to, because I tend to finish around about 5:30 UK time, so I usually going to have my dinner with my family. So I may come back for an hour later if it continues a little bit shy. Because if you're trading 3 hours and you're not getting any setups, then you may need to come back. But I am in the Thomas Wade's forum, and I see him and people like Taylor. And they tend to trade an hour and a half, 2 hours longer than me. So, excuse me a sec. So I may do a little bit more trade for another hour or so. Rhythmic accounts, creation delay. Do you mean it when you try to open it? Let me just have a look on the. Let's have a look. See if anybody else is having problems. Evals. Nothing obvious. Nothing obvious. Two PAs in 2 days. Oh, mate. Yeah, we've all done that, bud. Don't beat yourself up. It happens. I think my PA starts at 59, so I've blown 58 of them. So don't stress too much. It's all part of slowly changing that mindset. So don't beat yourself up, bud. Right, man. You have any tips how to stay disciplined? Sometimes I fail. Take mediocre setups because I can't wait and film as I'm doing that, which makes me on tilt. Yeah. What I'll say to you is learning to trade. Our minds, really, human beings' minds aren't really ideally built or designed or fashioned, if you like, to be a trader. You know, we're impatient people. We don't like losing things. So there's no real magic bullet. You know, some people say try journaling. Some people say take regular breaks. Some people say, in all honesty, none of that worked for me. The only thing that worked for me is just time. Exposing yourself to these charts day in, day out, kind of in a way, you sort of learn to be more patient. But a lot of it is about learning the skill and filtering all out the crap. Filtering those crap trades. And some days it does mean they're sitting there for 4 hours and not taking a trade. I hate myself. I'm so angry. We all do that. We all do that, and we all feel like that. I tell you something. I've been with my wife now for 30 years, and she's seen me in tears 3 times. When my daughter was born, although I'd had a few whiskies, so that probably didn't help. When my mum passed away sort of 18 months ago, and when I blew my 4th or 5th lot of 5 accounts, I felt absolutely sick and gutted. That feeling of losing control and jumping in. I used to finish the stream. If you look back at some of my older videos, after I'd had a loss, I'd finish the stream quite quickly, and I'd go straight up to 10 contracts, and I'd click quickly and jump straight back into the trade and try and scrappily get 3 or 4 ticks, a couple of ticks, whatever it took to try and get my money back. Now, maybe a couple of times in 10 it would work and I'd get my money back, but the 8 times in 10 I'd end up blowing it all and I'd have to come back on the stream. So what you're going through is part of that journey in changing that mindset, but it will come in time, but it does take time. So what I would say is, if you're frustrated and angry and you're blowing lots of counts, you're probably getting into maybe PAs or evaluations when you may be better off doing a little bit longer on on sims. Trouble is if you haven't built up any skills, as soon as you start to take sims and PAs, you've got money in the game, and while you're still learning, it can get a bit painful. It really can. So all I'd say is just try and keep the spending minimal. Maybe just do one evaluation and just concentrate on that when it's cheap. Maybe forget the PAs a little bit. Or if you insist on taking evaluations and PAs, don't ever take more than one until you can get it to work. But don't beat yourself up. That is the case. I actually punched myself in the face once out of absolute pure frustration and anger, and it bruised me as well. I threw one of my monitors out the window. You know, everyone goes through that same sort of feeling, so don't beat yourself up. It's all part of slowly changing that mindset. But in time, the more you sit up here, your skill level starts to grow, and it's being used to what it feels like. You know, you jump out of a plane for the first time, I guarantee you'll be shitting yourself. If you do it every day for 3 years, it'll become just part of the everyday. So those emotions and that panic and stress will eventually start to subside, but it does take time. So don't beat yourself up. Learn to forgive yourself and just keep coming back and learning. But keep control of the purse strings. Don't spend too much, because that's another thing that can eat away at you as well. But don't beat yourself up. You know, if you're ever frustrated or pissed off or whatever, you can message me anytime you like. If you just want a bit of a pat on the shoulder or pep talk or whatever. You know, plenty of people help me and give me sort of talking tos and a little bit of support. But yeah, it don't feel nice when you're going through it. It really doesn't. It's a horrible feeling. It can affect your mood, and it affected mine. My wife used to say I dreaded you coming down from trading because I'd just be grumpy and miserable. But now, if I have a losing day or a winning day, losing day, I come down fine. But it does take time. So at least it was a PA, not that. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to insist on doing money, do an evaluation. But I've said this from day one. Only ever do one evaluation and one PA until you can start to make money, because if you copy trade to 10 accounts and you blow one, you're blowing all 10. So just keep control of the money, because you can throw a lot more away than you really need to. Trust me, I've done it. But if you ever want to message me morning, noon and night for a chat, private message me, feel free. You know, I'll talk trading morning, noon and night. So anytime you like, but you know, you've got to give it time, and you will find yourself slowly getting used to it, and the stress will slowly start to go, which I never hear people talk about in books. They always say, you know, walk away from the chart, do this, do that, but I never hear anybody saying it does take time, so just keep trying. You know, I never hear people talk about that. But it's the people that fail. It has got a high failure rate, but the people who fail, I tell you now, are the people who can't put up with it and walk away. You know, all good things take time. So just stick with it. Keep coming back. But don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't give up your job like I did after a month. But, you know, put whatever time you can into it and study and study. Just see it as a hobby. And you'll start to eventually, I used to get trapped left, right and centre, but You know, see these certain areas now where it gets a bit sketchy. I'm very cautious now because I've been trapped a lot. And the reason I know is because, you know, I've been through it. It's a real, it takes experience again and again. You'll start to notice pictures and this doesn't look right, or that looks a bit scary, or something doesn't feel right, and you'll start to avoid the bad trades. And you'll start to get there. So let it, as Max says, let it happen organically, because it really does. You don't think it does, but I'm telling you now, it does. Okay, so this, let me have a look. I'd say there's a good chance we're going to get down here because we've had this push up, a little bit of sideways, so we've been at the top, down the bottom, up the top. Makes sense. But one of the things I used to be terrible for was just taking half a dozen trades, 6, 8, 10 trades, just massively amount. You know, I may only take 3 trades in a week now. But chances are they'll all be winning ones, so take away all the ones that you lose, you're actually, you know, you're better off. We all also get better, we accept ways have losses. Yeah, I don't get me wrong, I don't like taking a loss. It's not a nice feeling, but it doesn't have that same panicking effect that it used to. I can walk away now. I could never walk away after a loss. I always have to try and get it back, and I had no control. You do feel absolutely out of control. It's almost like you're possessed and something takes over. But that feeling of jumping in and out of trades again and again and again, trying to scrappily make a few ticks, used to make me physically sick. So yeah, and learn to forgive yourself as well. And trust me, drink. It works. No, don't drink. I like a single malt. And I even started having a couple of shots before I used to trade, trying to calm the nerves. I know another trader buddy that used to take beta blockers to try and slow his heart down. I'm pretty sure people have tried all sorts of things. Absolutely. Perfect example, that is. Perfect description. It is. It feels like tunnel vision. You don't have any control. Someone else has took the steering wheel. It's amazing how little control you have when emotions kick in. But most of us aren't used. We don't have lives like this. We have normal, simple lives. We go to work. You know, someone says you've got to do this today, that today, that today. You do your job, you get paid. That's the end of it. There's no stress involved. When all of a sudden, you know, to make money, you've got to risk losing a potential lot of it. It completely changes the dynamics. But you have to learn to forgive yourself. And don't beat yourself up, literally. But yeah, you got to learn to forgive yourself. Open was one of the worst decisions I made. I actually got rid of it. 1 minute it felt like it helped me. Next minute it felt like... I think what happened is I spoke to a few people about it, and they said, what I think you're using it for is if you see a setup but the signal bar's poor, you're looking at the NQ, and if the NQ's looking like it's going in that direction. So I think I used it to get myself into a trade that I probably shouldn't have done. And then when we had a really good setup on the ES, if the NQ didn't look in the same direction, I'd miss it. So it's all part of learning, I think. You try these things. You know, I probably overcomplicate things at times. I'm always sort of been on the lookout for something to make it easier, better decisions. But NQ, it is, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Trading it in, in fact, it was Nick that said that to me. I asked him about it, and he said trading it in its own entirety would be an okay idea, and it's working okay for me. I'm trading the NQ just with one account at the moment, and it's making me a bit more money than I'm making in the others. So, just sort of getting a feel for it. Now I'm looking for a second entry short here. The second entry short, or this area, is probably going to come down to the bottom on the ES. So this NQ may get a short on it. We'll see. I use the CL and the PL. Yeah. It's one of those things that just takes time and experience, just to understand things and you know, make decisions. So we got this channel down here. I like the way it's kind of like a two-tiered channel. In fact, I'll probably take it from there actually, because it fits the bottom much better. Yeah. So we've had this before with a break. We came down. We went up with a break. We came up. So if we can get a good setup here, I don't see why I can't go short. How long did I take to build the 20 accounts? I had between sort of 3 and 4 on average for a while, but I kept just blowing them, getting a few more blowing them, and then what I decided to do, and incidentally there is a bit of software you can buy if you're struggling, it's called Guardian Angel, or GAT for short, and what it does, you can put in places so it stops you trading. I can talk a bit more about that if anyone's interested. I know there's a few traders here that use it. Somebody talked about it and I decided to buy it, and when I decided to buy it, I kind of relaxed and felt like, you know, I've got a way out. That just relaxed feeling just stayed with me. It never came back, even though I never actually purchased the software. And that was probably in March, so I'd say between maybe the middle of March and a month ago, I started building, and I think I got me 20th about 3 weeks ago, something like that. So when you start to be able to manage the emotions, I think, and your skill level's okay, that's the time to start to grow, I think. But yeah, it is frustrating how long it takes, and it is a tough journey. But if you keep sticking at it, you will get there. But you just need to be persistent. Just keep coming back. Now and again, take a week off, take a few days off, clear your head a little bit, because there's nothing worse coming back angry. And incidentally, if you are coming back angry, it's probably because you're losing money. So if you're blowing lots of accounts, please keep it to a minimum of just one evaluation if you insist on, you know, using money. Because doing 6 or 8 or 10 or 20 in one go, and you just copy trading a whole lot of damage. So, you know, don't keep control of the money, and it won't be as frustrating. Absolutely, yeah. In all fairness, I only ever had one account for the first probably year or so. And then after I got my first payment, I kind of thought I'd cracked it. So I started getting more. And then I got one payment, then another one. And then I lost an account. So I kind of slipped back into blowing accounts again. And it kind of is that way. When you make your first bit of money and you blow an account, don't beat yourself up again, because it doesn't all of a sudden go from blowing accounts to being crap to sort of making money. It didn't go like that. It goes up in very, very, just imagine running a marathon with baby steps. It's a very, very slow journey. But just keep it down to a minimum. Just doing more and more accounts at the same time. It's asking for trouble. It's asking for more frustration. You don't need it. There's no difference between trading one account and 10, theoretically, but you're blowing 10. It doesn't make sense if you blow one account and you're copying to another 9, you're blowing 10 in a row. While you're going through that phase, just stick to one. I'd say, in all honesty, do a sim for a year. I really would. And then you need to start exposing yourself a little bit to the emotions. So then I would get one evaluation, pick them up while they're cheap, and then just stick with that one at a time. And just because you need to experience that little bit of skin in the game, because obviously, I know people. I remember, if anyone remembers, Wilson, maybe a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago, Wilson was trading about 30, 40 accounts. And I think everyone thought he was doing it live. And he was absolutely killing it. I thought, this I want to be like this guy's going to make a ton of money. And then all of a sudden he started to take evaluations, so people realised, that he wasn't doing it live, and he completely changed into a different trader. So you have to have that experience as well of having money in the game, because that changes the dynamics as well. Best bet is to use live money, in my opinion, too. There's a lot to be said for that. If you've got the skills, you can maybe do a micro. You risk 1 point, you're risking $5. And you can, I think you've got to have $50 in per one micro and $500 per mini. So you could do it that way. You may be a little extra cautious if it's your own money, but I still would keep it to a minimum. If you started with your own money after a year or whatever, definitely stick to micros. It's 1/10 of the size. Because trust me, you'll soon get. I mean, I finished my job after a month. I literally finished my job, put $5,000 in, and lost it all. It just looks easy. You can have a week where you get trade after trade in a row, especially a few years ago, and you think, I can't go wrong here. I'm making money. I'll take that when it worked, take that when it worked, and then all of a sudden you're going to work with this going through your mind, thinking, I'm missing a fortune here. And then all of a sudden you lose it all. But yeah, it's not easy. It does take time. But just let it come organically. Don't fight it. Don't put loads of money in, because you'll just make yourself miserable and your wife miserable. And happy wife, happy life. That's what I say. Let's have a look. I remember he was putting out videos, 100. Yeah, I know. I thought this guy's going to make a fortune, and then all of a sudden he started trading evaluations and turned into, I mean, literally turned into a completely different trader. So it just goes to show, just because you can do something on a simulator, and I know it's frustrating, just because you can do it on a simulator, doesn't mean you can all of a sudden turn that straight over to live money. It just doesn't work. Those emotions change things. But you need to edge into that slowly. It would never say no. In fact, I remember there was a few guys which got into a bit of an argument one night. Someone said, how can he be making so much money? And someone said, I known him for a few years. He made $1 million last year. So there was a lot of talk about whether he was, because he never told anybody, and he didn't show his accounts. So there was a lot of talk, is he for real or is he not? Because don't get me wrong, you could trade brilliantly on a sim, which is kind of frustrating, really. You think if you could do it on a sim, you could do it on, and you still have got those skills, but once you add money into the mix, those emotions do change you. And Wilson, I think he's doing okay now, but he went for a phase of looking like a very nervous trader. And I know exactly how he feels, because now I've got more accounts. When I'm in a trade, I'm kind of thinking about want to get out. So it's amazing how money does affect you, for sure. This is diet, this, isn't it? So we've got this channel down here with a break. 1, 2. Are we coming down or are we going up? I got no idea. Double trap 2, yeah. I'm staying out of this at the moment. Yeah, they're about a bit sideways. I think the old days are a bit sideways, isn't it? Not even worth trying. I think you're right, mate. I was just looking at this thinking this is a day you want to spend in the sun. The trouble is, with the channel down there and a break, you'd naturally be thinking there's room to the lows. And it might be. We may come down here, but not before it's going to do a load of that up and down stuff. But yeah, you've really got to sit through this. There's nothing. I mean, there's a second entry long there. You may have taken that, but my only slight concern is at the time I had that down about there. And in all fairness, look how many times it's respected it. So going along there could be a trap. We've had a channel up here with a break and a new high, and all of a sudden we've hit that place 3 times and it's dropped. So we could have 2 little pullbacks, channel down there, second entry short, that could trigger. It could come down to the bottoms. It didn't, but it could. So, when it's sideways like this, it does tend to almost lay down bloody bear traps for you. So yeah, I was very tempted. If we'd have got a height up here, then I may have had a go at that one. But it went sideways, so that makes it even more. It makes you sort of get even more cautious. It did push and work, but you just don't know whether it's going to do that. Once it starts to go sideways, to me, I think you're probably always better off trying to get out for break even. The one thing about, it may go on to work, but the one thing about getting out for break even is you ain't going to lose anything. Waste of 2 hours, yeah. The trouble is you never know when it's going to go like this, do you? Let's have a look at this CL. What's this look? Okay, this CL is kind of working up in a channel. We've had a channel down there with an overshoot correction and a pull down, and now we've started going up. There's nothing here that interested me, although it is kind of still working. But as much as I think it's going to go up, you're still going to wait for a setup, and unfortunately, it's not been a lot. See this, you'd put money on that coming down, wouldn't you? Big vacant area there to touch. All of a sudden it starts to push higher. No, you don't. But excuse me a sec. Okay. Yeah, it's just hard going at the moment. How long have we been trading for? Hour and 45 minutes. Trouble is, if you take a short here, what's going to happen? So let's have a look at that. We've had a break of it, and we've made an attempt to go lower. We've hit some support. There is some support along there. You can see it right the way through there a bit. The trouble is, you don't know whether this now is going to become the bottom. But it is a good exercise in patience. If you can sit here for 3 or 4 hours and not take a trade, that's a big plus. Because I found that almost impossible. I was itching to take a trade, and I'd sit here really well for 2.5, 2 3/4 hours. In the last 5 minutes, I'd lose my patience and take a stupid trade. But that will come in time. You will get better at it. It's impossible to sit in front of these charts every day and not get better at it. Uh, 1600, 16 looks like last stop loss hunting. Yeah, that's the trouble. Ooh, same name as me. Very good. There's 2 of us in the world. Yeah, it does. That's the trouble, really, if you get involved in a... I mean, sometimes it works. I mean, that eventually did. I thought that would go, but yeah, it is. When it's like this, it does make it a lot more dangerous. And then sometimes it will give you a slight offer and then sting you. What's going on there, though? I mean, the MQ is completely different from this, isn't it? I mean, we got some sort of... I don't know, but I mean, look at the NQ. It's moving quite strongly. It's still unclear a little bit, though, isn't it? That's the thing. Possible second entry long gear. Trouble is, I never have much luck with these. I like to wait for the higher low. This was the open, so we may bounce and get a break here. It may trigger a long and come down leg and a leg, so I tend to avoid this first one. Not only that, it's a bit too far away from that EMA for me. If I took that trade, I'd expect to get stuck. Whether it'll work or not is irrelevant, but that's the type of trade if I took, I'd expect to get stopped out there. So leg up sideways. So okay, so channel break, new high, bearish bar. I'd want to wait for the lower high, really, because we got a leg up sideways. We could go to the leg up here. Hmm. Work that did on the CL. It's just a bit too far for that EMA for me. I'd much prefer that down here. We got a leg back. We could get a similar size leg which could take us down here on that CL, so I stayed out of it. Like a break, new high with a good signal bar. Yeah, so we've had a channel there. There is a break. Just not sure about this. That's a bit ugly, I think. What I will say is we've had a leg and a leg, so we could get a leg and a leg. I'm not a massive fan of this. I'm not saying it's not right, but at the moment it's just more sideways than up, I think. Trouble is, it may come down. If there was a lower high there, it may come down and bounce and push up, maybe a second entry long. No, this is interesting. There is a leg and a leg, I think, but I might have a go at this one on the NQ. See how it
Order
finishes.
submitted.
This is coming down a bit strong though for me, so it may just, we'll see. Might be a small risk on this anyway. It's definitely a leg and a leg, second entry long. Let's see how it appears. I kind of like that one. Is it a measured leg? It's probably gone a bit more, but hopefully it's a small risk. Trouble is, it is a second entry long, but it never triggered. I mean, this is looking, mind you, there may be a second entry long. If it can hold above that EMA on the ES, it may go up. So there may be a leg, and we get a strong bar there. The trouble is, at the moment, with it ranging, it's very hard to go long out of the range, because every time we've been above, there, and there, we've come back in. Now, at some point, it's likely to break, but this could trap along there and come down, which means this might not be a very good option to go long. But I think it's worth a go on the
Order
NQ.
filled.
Worth a bash. I'm only trading one of my accounts on the NQ anyway, so I'm tempted to get out of this. See how that one finishes.
Target
Yeah, I'm
filled.
getting out of this. This is coming down. Yeah, I got into a trade there, mate, just for one account there. I just cancelled it, that's all. Yeah, rightly so.
Order filled.
This to me looks like it's coming down to the bottom, so there's a failure there. Oh, don't bounce on me.
Target filled.
Yeah, beautiful. There we go. That just got me back to where I was. That was probably a better option, actually. Yeah, it was just, that's all. Yeah, don't worry. This looks like it's coming down to the bottom, see? So I'm guessing that is probably a leg and a leg, a couple of attempts to go higher and a failure. I took the long there, and as it started to come towards me, I realised that it's coming down. So I got out of it and then got back in on that failure. I kind of like trading this kind of freely without any sort of rules in a way. It's kind of nice to do what kind of feels right. Let's see if this triggers this bull bar. Second entry long, that is. I want that to trigger, hopefully. Look at this thing. Oof. I want that to trigger. Come on, trigger. This trigger and starts moving down. No, it won't really, mate. It does almost. It almost looks like someone's got into it and fine-tuned everything and not giving us anything. I was hoping after this we may test this top and then push further down, but that doesn't look like it, does it? CL's having a drop in it. See, there's no reason, there's nothing that says there, really, that I can see. Well, what I will say, there may be a bit of support over there, but yeah, maybe that's why that's had a bit of a drop. It's at a level. Another tough day today. Yesterday wasn't fantastic, was it? Does happen sometimes. We go through phases. See, in hindsight, it's hard to say what would you have taken if you knew, but maybe that one. But there again, you just after coming off the top, it's hard to take that because you could come down, bit of a pullback, traps the longs, and then drop down to the bottom. Trouble is, you could say 1, 2. There's kind of a triple test there, but we've got some support along there, so that's risky. You just don't know how far it's going to come down. There is a higher low there, which you may have taken, but if you've just seen support there, maybe you won't. It's hard to say, really. In hindsight, it's so much easier. But in reality, when these things pop up, what do you do? What I know is we've pushed down and we are finding some support here, so hopefully if we can get a second entry short, we may get some more move down. Okay, channel down there. Failed breakout. Okay, this got other ideas. That's what I mean. You just never know. Normally with a breakout like that, fail, came back in, fail, came back in. This time came back in, starting to push out. Or are we just going to get a couple of attempts, trap some longs, and then come back down? It's hard to say. But we need to be at least a lower high below that EMA to even consider a short, really. I don't know whether there's any larger channel up there. It's always possible. Does it fit? Kinda. But would you really want to go long here anyway? If this is a channel, you want to be down here, don't you? So leg and a leg. So it may come down. Push up. There's kind of a little channel with a break, isn't there? I think. Let me have a look. It depends how you draw that, really. Yeah, it's negligible, isn't it, if you get that wrong? Kind of a channel with a small break. We've got a lower high here. Within this, then that might not be a bad idea, just down to that midline. Channel with a break. I wouldn't want to take that at the moment, but a lower high would be a better option. And then maybe we may get another leg down. Trouble is, sometimes it just picks this off and just drops. See if we get a lower high. Or it's just going to drop. So what I want is like almost like a second entry long, slightly bearish bar to trigger, and then a lower high there, trapping some longs, because there will be traders thinking we're going to continue higher, and we may well do, but if we can trap some longs here and it looks nice enough, then I may take that, because there's probably going to be some longs stops there, certainly there, but it can't go much higher, that, otherwise it's just not worth it. Excuse me. Too late that really, it's too big. It is just being patient and waiting around for that one setup. Trouble is, the less setups you get, when you get one, you kind of have to look at it 3 times and think something can't be right. It looks too good to be true. So I've started questioning trades. Sometimes you get a lovely trade and it's like you almost miss it because you think it's too good. Trouble is, you become very untrustworthy then. Excuse me. Oh, I'm done for the day, folks. This is from my brain. This is. I'm going to go and drink some scotch in the garden. Try out my new air conditioner. Right, best of luck, guys. I hope you get a setup. Failing that, I'll be back tomorrow. Have a great day. Have a nice evening. Stay safe. And I will be back tomorrow. You're very welcome, mates. You're very welcome. That's it. I'm done. Bye for now.